Get to the point. There's just one thing I want to say. Get to the point. There's just one thing I want to say.
Copy.
There's just one thing I want to say.
Welcome. This is something special tonight. We have a real special show tonight. I'm very excited about this one. Very excited. Have been anticipating this for weeks to talk to you all about this great book by none other than Rick Ross. You all know who he is, the
Biggest
international,
boss.
right? The biggest boss, right? Exactly. Y'all know it. But this is different though. We're going to talk more about his business side, not his hip hop side. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but more so who Rick Ross is as a business mogul, as an international business mogul. You know, how we got started, what type of business ventures he's involved in, but more importantly, some inspirational messages that he has throughout this book. I'm hoping that those who are joining tonight have been able maybe to have who have read the book, but if you haven't, hopefully by the end of the discussion, you'll feel inclined to go read it or maybe catch the audio book, whichever one. The most important part is that we want you to understand why we chose the book. We're going to get to that in just a second, but just a little bit of housekeeping things and just normal, who we are, like we do every single week. I'm gonna kick it out.
All right. So welcome, friends. Some of you may be tuning in who've been with us for a while, and so you know how 360 Collective operates. For those that are just joining us for the first time, we're happy that you're with us and that you've decided to spend some time talking with us and hopefully to us this evening. 360 Collective is a social commentary group that confronts issues of race, skin color, racial justice, racial injustice, and we have a really unique approach in the way that we format our conversations. We like to have special guests on the program. We like to bring in folks who are listening at home into the discussion because while we have a lot to say on the issues that we cover, and we like to share insight with those who are listening, we also know that you who are at home listening to us, who've made time to spend with us, have insight to share as well. And so we hope that you will engage in the conversation with us. We hope that you will add comments or questions in the chat so that we can react to those comments and questions and definitely involve you in the discussion as we move forward. So definitely check out our Facebook page. If you don't know that much about us, we have other discussions there with really interesting people that we think you'll like. We have a YouTube channel where we have other videos posted. So make sure that you like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page. All of the content that we've provided so far is completely free because we believe in enlightenment, consciousness. We believe in doing the knowledge together. So we try to make the knowledge free as much and whenever we can. So far, we've been successful in doing that pretty well. So that's the rundown about who we are and why we're here. So we hope to see your comments, your reactions in the chat, because as you can see in our agenda there on the side of the screen, we've made time to incorporate those into the conversation.
All right. Thanks for that. Let's get into this. Let's get right into this. So let's talk about, and of course, we're going to be bringing in our other comrade here, Amari. We're going to be going back and forth in this discussion tonight. And again, once again, like Isaac said, please comment. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. It's not just us talking. We want to hear your feedback as well. But why do we choose this book? Why is it the perfect day to boss up? I mean, as you saw on the cover, I'm just going to hold the book up again one more time. I mean, Rick Ross makes you want to boss up. I mean, the man knows how to, even lyrically, he speaks very eloquently about things. I know it's not all about material things, but he talks about working hard to get those material things. It's not just some rappers just appear to have all these materialistic things that you think it's just got it from just rap sales. But Rick Ross makes it very clear and apparent that you need to have more than just record sales. You have to be versatile when it comes to streams of income. He talks very highly about, and not boastful, but he talks about his work ethic and how he's not necessarily the best rapper. I mean, he's not, but his work ethic is what has allotted him the freedom to do what he wants, to be wealthy, to live on the promised land, as he talks about in the book a lot. And that's his estate in Atlanta that he owns, and he owns another estate in Miami as well. So, I mean, he's not just I got this, I got that. I'm riding around in different cars. I'm bragging about the jewelry I have. I'm not just talking about different names of clothes. What he's actually talking about in his book, trying to inspire other people to build wealth. And that's why I think we chose it, because on our platform 360, we definitely feel that economics is a huge part of creating financial freedom. And financial freedom means building wealth, power, economics, basically empowering the community to be able to be self-sustaining. So economics is a huge part. What we stand for and what we want to encourage you to do is to build wealth. And so we understand, we've talked many times on this show about reparations, about what it is to have wealth in this country, and what we think needs to be done in order to be on a level playing field. But this particular book talks about avenues in which you can get involved in today. Like I said, today is the perfect day. Don't have to wait until you get a record deal. But he's saying you can start now. You can start today. So I thought that was very inspirational. I thought that was something that's, I'm not where I want to be at financially. I know I need to, be inspired. I need to read what others have done, and to not to reinvent the wheel, but sometimes you just got to follow the blueprint. And he is laying out a very inspirational and profound blueprint in this book. So I think that's kind of my take on why we chose the book. What do you think about it?
First off, from the beginning, when Rick Ross first came on the scene, just keep in mind, I mean, the first track was "Hustling," right? So for a lot of people, depending on where they are in their grind level, sometimes you need music to motivate you. You need music to motivate you, and whether you're having good days or bad days, I think like that track is a wonderful track just to get your day started, especially for an entrepreneur, because um, it's the right tempo. It gets your heart, the blood pumping. So since day one, since Rick Ross came on the scene, I just been a fan just because of myself being an entrepreneur. I use that song or use that song for just one of those tracks to just get me going. While the book, now let's keep in mind this is Rick Ross, so this is not a book that's used probably at a collegiate level. So we understand that as 360, but also we understand that we got to meet people where they are. So we can discuss a college course book, right? But then that limits the reach. I think that people who needs to hear this book or read this book, I think he wrote it for a wider audience. And for that, I think that's one of the reasons why we want to discuss it, because it will reach a wider audience. And the information is the same information you will get no matter where it's discussed. But I think that he wrote it in a way that for his audience, just for that audience, his special audience. I love the book, wonderful book. I can't wait till we dive into it.
All right, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's yeah, it definitely is inspirational to know that somebody who comes from his neighborhood and his upbringing, his background, can start from nothing. And he lives in Evander Holyfield's former estate, is where he resides at. I don't remember how many millions of dollars that it cost him to get it, but it's something that you can be inspired by, to know that you can follow the same path. You don't have to necessarily, and he's saying you don't have to rap to do it, because actually most of his wealth is not come from his record sales. He admits that. And shortly, we're going to get into a clip here where he's going to talk more about that. So let's go ahead and get into that first clip.
It's that bestseller talk, man. It's just, at the end of the day, man, it's just about us finding a way to draw the best out of ourselves. You know what I mean? I keep bringing up these 20 partnerships because I wake up every morning, excited to be a part of them, being creative. We can't be burnt out. We can't become predictable colleagues, predictable peers, predictable employees. We always got to go above and beyond and bring that extra energy to the table for us to go, and be number one. There's a lot of good shit out here for us to accomplish, so let's make history. That's what we really are.
And back to the book, in one of the commandments, you speak of managing the emotions.
Right.
Another one you talk about, the game ain't based on sympathy, right?
The game ain't based on sympathy. Nobody cares about your great uncle that just died and your ingrown toenail and your back hurt and you was hungry from last night. Nobody don't care about that. We only want to know how to win. So when you come sit at this table where this shit is real, ain't no more jokes, the door's closed, fuck all that, the camera's off, how we going to the next level? So for you to be able to sit at this table, I'm obligated. I owe this to everybody else that's sitting here. We've been working 20 years to sit here. So anybody we allow to come sit here, you better bring something new to the table. And we don't want to hear about none of your unfortunate shit. I don't care about none of that. All we want to know is how we going to go to the next level. Do you have something to bring to the table? If not, excuse yourself.
But how do you balance that energy right there with the other passionate energy that you have, which is very caring about the creative process and very sensitive about the things that you create, wanting them to be great? How do you make that, that balance? Because I think that's where people struggle.
Because when it's time to build, create, and earn, that's like having your city on your back. Everybody depending on us. We got to handle our business. When we turn around, we accomplish that. We could turn around and share the wisdom. You could give. That's when you can give. That's when you could share. But when it's time to go get it, we got to go get it. That's like getting on the football field. Once we put on the equipment, we don't care nothing about. That's our cousin playing on the other team. Well, I'm trying to. Well, hey, I want to do you dirty, and I hope your mama looks.
Did you playing football and being active in sports young help you in this hustle, in this entertainment hustle?
Without a doubt. It's all about discipline. And I had one of those football coaches one time for Coach Frazier. If I felt like I was hurt, or if you was on our team and you got injured and laid down and you ain't get up and you was squirming, Coach Frazier would run on the field and look you in your face and ask you, are you hurt or are you injured? The difference.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're hurt, you better get back up.
Oh man, you better get your ass up. We got the stadium here for us. They paid $2.99 a ticket.
man, oh man, yeah. So that's that boss talk. But this is a different side of Ross. This is not what true enough, his first hit. Every day I'm hustling. That's he set the tone of who he is and what he stands for. But you hear him talking about giving back. That's what he's doing right now. He didn't have to write this book. He didn't have to give away his some of his inspirational thoughts. It's not about him. Everybody thinks he's always bragging about money and about having things, but this book really speaks to that's not what he really wants to do. He really wants to inspire others to get to where he is. And that's why I felt was so profound about the book, and I really was impressed that he decided to do that, because he didn't have to do that. Many rappers don't. Rappers, decades upon decades of rappers who just sort of hid what they did, or maybe afterwards, maybe they got out the game and decided to give a little game. But Ross is giving game now. The book he started to write in the pandemic is what really inspired. He didn't have anything to do. He was in the house. If you read the very first couple chapters, so of course the coronavirus was rampant. Everyone was on quarantine, and he decided to basically make a memoir of his thoughts in such a way of just putting down on paper what it is he has done to build the empire that he currently has. And I love the fact that he talks about, hey, he just said in the clip, I took 20 years to get here. He didn't this ain't no overnight thing. Ross been grinding for years. Like, we don't know the Ross that was outside rapping in front of hotels with Kanye when they both didn't have a deal back in 2001 or back in 2000. You know, we didn't know Ross then, but he was grinding then. But I think him being exposed and him being around the right people, even a person like Kanye West, taught him how to have other hustles other than just rapping. And this is what we want you to understand as an audience, is that it's not just playing basketball. It's not just picking up a microphone. It's not just, you know, you have to use your mind. And that's what he's saying, is that when you get at the table, you better come with something. Or excuse yourself. Like you said, don't come here talking about looking for a handout. You got to come ready to boss up. So I thought that clip was powerful. What do you think about it?
I think that we got to keep in mind that some part about this Rick Ross is there's the artist Rick Ross. So you hear in his language, you hear in the words he chose, and they resemble the lyrics of his raps. But also with the book though is it's totally different. You know what I'm saying? So there is some similarities in some of the words that's chosen, but the book is different. And so I think that's what makes the books great, to the point where even if you don't like rap, even if you don't like Rick Ross, you can still gain some information from it to take you to help you, like you said, boss up. And these are some gems in the book that will help you set the foundation of doing those things to help you become an entrepreneur. So that's why the book is great. But like I said, if you don't like Rick Ross as a rapper, you can still get the information from the book, and just appreciate the wisdom that's in it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take another look at another clip here of an interview he did on Good Morning America. One second. Let me refresh this.
So why write a book? Are we going to get to that level?
Most definitely, we will, because that's where I began. At 13, I was washing cars at the car wash. I was working on roofs. I was cutting grass, whatever it was, and here I am now. You know, we in the 3 Comma Club. And I just want to make sure I let everybody know that this is all a reality. This is a real possibility. You just can't stop. You have to set your vision and don't stop and don't quit for nothing.
I love it. And you use your own life, as you just did, as an example to how to do that. And you actually have what you call your boss commandments. So if you would, give us a few of your top tips.
Well, I just believe in taking advantage of all your time. I really believe that time is the most valuable asset we will ever have. I wake up 6 a.m. every morning, and, you know, I keep track of the things I spend my time on, because at the end of the day, I should focus on what's going to help me progress the most. What can I cut back? You know, what can I work out of my schedule? And I think that's something that we should all do, and I speak of that in my book.
How does it help you move forward? You had a lot of time. Well, a lot of people did, but you didn't. You weren't touring. You weren't traveling. The pandemic, did that help you actually to make moves, given you had time to stop and sit and think and create?
Well, most definitely, you know, coming into the pandemic is what inspired this book, because I began spending more time on social media. I would get 4,000 and 5,000 questions every day, and the majority of the same question is, Ross, how did you do it? Ross, how did you boss up? I want to boss up. And so I said, let's put together the boss commandments and give them the concepts and approaches of understanding different things like partnerships, going above and beyond when you have certain responsibilities. And so I touched on all these different things, and I think it'll help a lot of different people.
I love it. I love it. You hear what he said? To help different people. That's why he wrote the book. I mean, the boss commandments. Yeah, you got to know what these boss commandments are. We're going to get in a few of those in a minute with a couple of clips from the book. We're going to hear a couple excerpts from the book. But before we do that, so I liked how he illustrated that just right. You know, we just heard that. You know, I'm just trying to give to people some game. You know, everybody asking me, you know, how'd you do? How you in this mansion? If you're not familiar with his mansion, if you saw the movie Coming to America 2, they actually filmed that movie in his house. There's a scene actually where it looks like he's in a giant hot tub or something. That's his bathtub. Like, I mean, he's not just rich, he's super rich, but he's not just flaunting it. He's not bragging about it. He's saying, this is how you can do it. I'm going to give you the blueprint. I'm going to give you the nuggets. I'm going to give you the information. Information is key. If you have the information, you can take a game to the next level, but it's all about exposure. So he's trying to expose the game so you, everyone who's listening, everyone who picks up that book can go out and do the same thing. He talks about his 20 partnerships that he mentioned he's very proud of. It takes a lot of work to create a partnership, number one. But to have 20 of them is phenomenal. And he's getting wealth from each. That's 20 streams of income, not including his music, not including his label, not including his other artists that are making fun of Meek Mills and Wale. Like, he's making money hand over fist. But it's not all just from rapping. You don't have to even like rap to pick up the book and read it and get some information that you can use in your life. We must focus on economics because that is really the hindrance when it comes to poverty. And poverty, of course, it causes, it does not get you to generational wealth. We want to get out of that poverty mindset. We want to come out of the ghettos and the hoods. It's okay to he talks about putting your city on your back. Put your city on your back, but don't just stay in that city. Okay, expand yourself, expand your mind. That you can be able to be a creator, an entrepreneur, and successful just like Rick Ross.
I would like to say also is that these gems could be used in other aspects of our lives, whether it be relationships, family, whether it be with your family or anybody else. You can use these things, these gems in all aspects. You hear the word money a lot, so let's not use that. Let's not get turned off because of we're speaking on money, but all aspect of everything that we're doing is going to require money. So if you're an entrepreneur or you're in business, you need money to survive. So keep in mind, this is what we're talking about. To be that boss or whatever, understanding what you're dealing with and what you're trying to gain. Now, what you do with that money is a whole nother aspect. But understanding what we're doing here now, what we're discussing is, if you're in this game, especially if you're in America, we're dealing with capitalism, that's the foundation of it. It's money, right? So understanding where we are and what's going on is going to be money. So this is break it down to right there. You need the money. You want the money. So let's get the money. So now that might be offensive to some, but that's just what it really comes down to. So listen, it may seem like a lot of money, especially with how some people may view rap as that's all that it is, but that's all that really what America is. So let's not get too crazy with our ideas with this one. But it's still a great book. These gems could be used, like I said, in any other aspect of your life. So that's why I really like the book too.
Do we got any comments, right?
We have Teray, the Dreamer Stanley. He said this is his first time tuning in. He said this is great. Much respect. So far, and Teray, we're glad that you're with us. We hope that you'll stick with us. So if you, Teray, or anybody else have any comments or reactions, we'd like to hear them. There are none right now, G, but I think that last point that you hit on, Amari, is important because Rick Ross may not be a revolutionary, so to speak, but the point is he's found a formula. He's found a way to create wealth for himself. And that's important for anyone who's looking to change the structure, the fabric of our society. We're fooling ourselves if we think that money isn't a part of creating and bringing about dramatic social change. We have some radical ideas here at 360 Collective. Now, one of them can be accomplished without having money. So everyone has a part to play in social change and transformation. And your part may very well be to find a formula to make a lot of money. And then you kick that money back to people in your circle. You kick that money back to people in your community. You do something with the money, not only to enrich yourself, but to enrich people around you and to link up with people who are trying to make dramatic structural change in our society. Those two groups of people need to start talking to each other. And so we hope here at 360, we can be a bridge to those folks who have found that formula and those folks who are trying to bring about radical change in our society. The other thing that Rick Ross said in that last clip, which I thought was cool, was he talked about partnerships. So partnerships could mean your streams of income, but it can also mean people that you are working with on your quest to find wealth. And in this country, there's this misnomer of the self-made person pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. That's BS. There is no such person in this country. No matter who they are, where they come from, everybody had help along the way to get where they are. So I appreciate that Rick Ross called that out. And that sort of goes back to the principle of collaboration, connecting, cooperating, finding roots of partnership and alliance between people who might not otherwise think that they have anything in common. So that's my 2 cents so far on what you shared so far, G.
All right, yeah, good input, good information. Definitely. Please, by all means, like we said before, please comment. We're gonna get to some clips from the book. Of course, the book is the most important part of the discussion tonight. It's one of the other 2 clips are gonna give you a preface of what Rick Ross stands for. But let's get into the first clip here. Some of these commandments he's been talking about. Let's see here.
But time is truly priceless. It's the only thing in this world you can never get more of, regardless of how much paper you get. That means that how you choose to spend your time is the most important decision you will ever have to make. Regardless of your position, you have to think like a boss, even if you feel like you're at the bottom of the food chain and there's no one underneath you. Even in that case, you still have to be the boss of yourself. I most definitely can't tell you how long it will take you to reach your goals. Every come up has its own timeline. So as best as you can, try not to get too hung up on when everything is going to come together. Concentrate on what is coming together. I might not be able to tell you how long it takes to build an empire, but I already told you how all empires are built. By getting up every day and laying bricks. The reason you can't see the finish line yet is because it's right around the corner. Hard times come with getting money. So if you're going through those hard times, don't stop now. You're only one play away from changing everything.
Wow. That's huge. That's key right there. We're not talking about get rich schemes or getting rich overnight. We're talking about perseverance. We're talking about patience. We're talking about faith to know that come up, that your dreams are right around the corner. There's a picture. I wish I would have thought of pull it up tonight, where there's a man who's using a pickaxe, and he's constantly using it, and he's right there at the moment where he needs one more stroke to get to I guess some gold or some jewelry or something, like some wealth, some money, but he stopped. He was right there. He was right at the brink of change, but he gave up. So that is what he's talking about, that you just need to have patience. Yeah, it may, I don't know how long it's going to take you, but if you stay on this plan, this blueprint, you're going to eventually get there. So I know a lot of people think that things happen. We live in a microwave society where we want everything right away, but it doesn't work that way. He talked about 20 years for him to really get to this position. So don't think as you turn the TBC Ross flaunting around and having this, that, and the other, he got it overnight. He worked for that. And even through the progression of his music. The Maybach music wasn't just, that was something that stood for that wealth, but that had to be created. He talks about in the book where he wasn't making any money for some shows. But it was the grind, it was the passion that he had that got him to where he is today. So I appreciate that excerpt out of the book. It's definitely a gem.
Yeah, I agree. Some of that also is that we do waste time, and sometimes when we're on that road to gaining those things or doing those things that we want, we got to understand that it does take us to invest, and sometimes that investment also means sacrifice. And what happens is sometimes when we want to, whether it be like a business or an idea, we got to understand what we're investing in. That means why we're doing it, what direction we're going into, what things are we going to sacrifice. Sometimes that means we can't talk to this person. Sometimes that means we can't buy these things. Sometimes it means we can't go some places, right? But in that, it's all these type of sacrifices we need to make to get to this next goal. And what we don't have is time. You know what I'm saying? That's one of those resources that we can't get back, right? And so that's something that he was saying in the book, is that even though it may appear that he's wasting, flaunting, whatever, but his precious resources, most precious resource, is nothing else but that time. And so that's why he's against wasting his time. He gets up early in the morning and have his day mapped out. And he says, he says quite often, since he got in this game, no matter what game it was, he has been he's been a steward of his time. And sometimes that's just make sure that to get to his goals. And sometimes when you find people failing at things because they don't manage that time right, they don't manage the people around them right. So in that, I think that might be just how we use our time to get to those things that we want. It's probably one of the most important things that we can do is let's make a list of where and what we do with our time, and then try to figure out how to cut some of those things off. I think the hardest thing to do is make sacrifices. But then we make that list of where stuff is going. We can sit back and say, I don't need this. Maybe I don't need to be on Twitter as much as I am. I am watching. Maybe I don't need to watch so much television. And then you realize I got more time to invest in other things to make myself a better person, or to put into the business idea. So I think that chapter where he was talking about that is very, very important.
And we all get the same amount of time every day. We all get 24 hours a day. Nobody gets more time than anybody else. That's one thing about life, is that you cannot create time. It's only 24 hours in a day. We all get the same amount. But with what you do with that 24 hours, we talk. Rick Ross talks about not getting enough sleep. He has some health issues because he's grinded so hard. He had a couple of health scares, a couple of seizures, because his work ethic was so severe that it actually caused him some problems. But he talks about rectifying that. But it's just the fact his passion is there, and sometimes it does overtake your life. But we all had that same amount of time. But let's look at another. Let's hear another clip.
Your goals don't give a fuck about your excuses. Nobody gives a fuck about your excuses besides you. I promise you, no one else cares or wants to hear that shit. So you can either wrap yourself up with your good excuses and pray they keep you warm at night, or you can find a way to win with the cards you were dealt.
Okay, I think that was the end of that one. And you heard him talk about those excuses in the interview clip. And I get it. Everybody wants to come with a sympathy story, a sob story, and feel like I'm gonna get a handout, or maybe I'll get a leg in if I tell you, I grew up without parents. I was a foster child. I was, we all have been through something, and those are real things. But you gotta remember that that's just a part of your life that you got to get through, and you can't let that hinder you from getting to the next level. You can't let that stop you from reaching the goals and that you set for yourself.
And I agree with that. But like also he's saying in this one, it's very important, is that especially if we're dealing with capitalism, if we're dealing with America doesn't care about nothing at all. It's whether you can produce or don't produce. Produce or don't produce. If you can produce, it has a place for you, right? A place that you hopefully can enjoy. You can't produce, it has a place for you, right? And typically it's a place you're not going to enjoy. That's what capitalism has. There's the foundation of it, right? But at the same time, it's no excuses. It's no excuses, right? So if you're trying to get your goals, right? You have goals, things you want to do. Ain't no time for none of this talk about wine and all that. You go get them. There's no excuses. You find a way, because it's in these excuses where we sleep at. It's in these excuses where we take days off at. And these are your goals. These are goals that you said that you want to set, right? And so, like he said, we don't care. You said you wanted it. So that means you go get it. So anything that's stopping you from doing it typically is yourself. And you need people around you that's going to feed that to you too. Because we got to get it. Just go get it. And there's bad days will come, but no, in those bad days, there's also good days. And so if something went wrong, let's figure out where we went wrong and find the wisdom in that and capitalize on that too. There's no excuses. We're trying to get there. We're gonna get there, but let's go. And so I think that when you have those dreams, when you have those goals, you got to have that level of motivation. And we see that sometimes in sports, right? I think he uses in the book where he sees when Michael Jordan had the stomach flu, but he still went out there and won the championship, right? He could have fell off. He could have sit back and said, I got stomach flu. It's a reason why. There's a reason why we lost this game. Because I was sick, right? He could have done that, but winners don't, right? Same thing we see with mothers. Mothers could be saying, no, I'm tired. I can't work. I can't go to the second job. They don't. They get up there and they realize they know what family's got to eat. Children got to do whatever. I'm going to get up and do what I have to do, whether it's ride the bus, do whatever. We're going to go do this. So some part about these small little things that we want, we can make excuses if we want to, but don't nobody care. Don't nobody care because they're going to judge you on if you did it or not. And so many of us say we got all these goals and dreams. At the end of the day, everybody looking around and say, no, they done said that before. They done said that before. And then I had an excuse behind it before. So you know what? Nah, I'm tight. I ain't going to listen to this person anymore. So forget your excuses. Either do it or you don't do it.
Right on, man. Powerful. Yeah. That's it. That's it. I love it, man. I love what you said. But yeah, let's get to some comments. I see there's a couple other questions in the comment we want to get to, right?
Yeah, sure. So Amber first asks, what are your thoughts on finding a balance between grind culture and self-care? And then also Kim has a question, and we'll get to Kim's question after you react to Amber's, but there are two questions.
Well, like I alluded to earlier, you know, one of the sacrifices that you sometimes have to make is to grind, you know, but at the same time you might sacrifice your health. You might not get 8 hours of sleep a night. You might only get 4. You might only get 3. But I do think you need to have a balance because we don't want anybody to get ill. I mean, your health is wealth, right? So really, no matter how much money you make, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So I think you have to create some kind of balance where you're investing the type of time that you are in your grind, the same type of investment you have in your health. That is because, I mean, honestly, you can have all this money, all these partnerships, all these businesses, but if you can't go to sleep at night without being in pain, or you can't literally go to sleep because your mind is in 55 different places, then it serves you no good. So I'm a strong proponent, but on the flip side of it, there's also there's also some privilege in wealth, is that you can now subscribe to some of the top treatments, whether it be by a doctor, whether it be by a trainer, whether it be by a dietitian. A lot of times you see wealthy folks have a chef, someone who actually come in and cook your meals. You can afford to buy from, you know, places where you may not be able to necessarily afford to buy, like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. It can be expensive, but so there is a balance of, okay, I grinded it up to make this amount of money, and now with that money I'm going to invest in myself. But that should be somewhere on your list of things that you should want for yourself, is to have great health. So I think you need to definitely find that balance, or else you're going to find yourself in some trouble.
Let me answer that, G, real quick. Who asked the question? All right.
Amber,
it sounds like you trying to find an excuse already. All right. You're trying to find an excuse already, Amber. Either you want the goal or you don't. All right. Understand this. Assessment. First thing is, he talks about this in the book, right? Before all this started happening, he had all this land, and he went around the land, and in the land he took some time, like, and it was on this time when he was just by himself, had time to think, time to make some assessments, time to look at his goals, time to set goals, is when he realized what he's going to do in this pandemic. So that's that mental health piece. Sometimes we do need some time to ourselves, right? But the next thing is make sure that your goals are in alignment to what you want. Because he talks about this also in the book, some things with how he got the house. He bought the house in foreclosure because Evander Holyfield had the house beforehand. He bought it for $20 million. I think Evander Holyfield bought it for 20. I think Rick Ross got a discount for 3, right? Something like that, right? But what Evaluate Holyfield was doing, how he lost the house, because things he was doing was not in alignment with his goals or who he was. He was out of alignment, right? So these are things before we even start going into things that we want to make sure that we do take that time out. Let me have some isolation time to figure out what we want. Let's get then let's make sure they align in who we are, right? And then let's truly assess those goals, because if you can't do them, this is where you start losing time and money, right? Too big of a goal, you're not gonna get them, because what? Too big of a goal. You really didn't assess these goals right. And then you also your reason why. Sometimes these things provide the motivation, your reason why, right? Why am I doing this? Because if you see, sometimes you ever been to college or whatever, some people say, I don't have enough time. But you ever seen like a mother with kids that going to school? She doesn't really have the time, but her reason why is to get to the next level. She's tired too, but sometimes she find that little bit because the reason why motivates her to do it. And sometimes we got to figure out what our reason why is. But also make sure, Grant said, let's make sure we do take those mental breaks. Let's make sure we are in alignment too. But it goes back to what you said, man. These are your goals. Amber, they're your goals. So anything that's not going to help you get to your goals, there's no excuses. You got to get them, Amber.
Hey, back up off Amber.
I'm saying
back up off Amber, man.
I understand, but we can't. No, these are her goals. I want her to reach her goals, and Amber got to get them. But at the same time, that if mental health or not having that time is going to be a hindrance, maybe reassessment of the goals. He's also said something in the book too, Grant. Remember, he said sometimes what we do is we put time frames on them, right? And that's the killer of it, right? I want to have this done by this time, and sometimes the stuff doesn't happen that way. And that could happen too with what's going on. I need to get this done by this date. It doesn't mean you can't get it done by the house, by whatever. But sometimes is that life happens. But when we set a date on things, that's when the pressure comes. It doesn't need to be there, right? Yeah. So that he talks about that too. Sometimes eliminate the time frame. Just keep the goal there, and sometimes that's just enough to wake up every day. Every day to get there. He also states that one of the chapter is brick by brick. I mean, drug reference in there, but he also talks about that, G, where he says that, listen, it's brick by brick, Amber. Sometimes you have big goals, but it's step by step. And let's celebrate those big steps. I mean, those small little steps. And let's move from there.
I want to add to what y'all have said and maybe approach it a little bit differently, which is that to survive in America, you're going to grind either way. Some more than others because of the way that our society is constructed. But you're going to grind either way.
Either way.
What Rick Ross is doing in his book is providing a roadmap for that grind to lead to the acquisition of wealth. Now, I'll be very open with you. I don't agree with Rick Ross's lifestyle and the way that what he spends his money on. And that's maybe the part where I don't necessarily agree with how he spends his money, but I don't object to him pursuing wealth because that wealth has empowered him to do other things, hopefully, and put other people on. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong, in my opinion, with pursuing wealth. It's just a matter of what you do once you find that wealth. And so we tend to have a more conscious, more revolutionary perspective with how and what should be done with wealth, perhaps than Rick Ross, but there's no taking away from the value and the strategy that he outlines in his book, which is to how to find that wealth. And so you're going to grind either way. You're going to grind either way. You might as well grind in a way that's going to not just provide for your survival, but it's going to provide something else on top of that you can use to help your family, to help your community, to do other things with. And again, my original point earlier was that folks like Rick Ross and folks like Visual Black Justice in Minnesota need to link up, right? Like we know Visual Black Justice, we support their cause. There are other local grassroots organizations that we're in contact with. Rick Ross needs to link up with them, and so that's the kind of synergy that, we're trying, among other things, to create here with this conversation and with 360, I think. But we have another question in the chat. And before we get to that, I want to ask you guys something specifically about the mindset that Rick Ross is talking about in the book that you've opined on so far. The idea of like nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like whatever your thing is, nobody cares. What's your response when you hear someone that looks like me saying to someone that looks like you, racism is racism. You can't use that as a crutch. You can't let racism stop you from doing your thing. Racism is no excuse. What do you think about that? Because the logic there that we're talking about seems to be in some way promoting the bootstraps mentality. How do you guys respond to that?
Grant, I see how that there can be some confusion with that, right? That we one thing is there are things in our society that hinders or slows down progression. So I don't want to be naive and not address those things. But also you put those things in your equation. Does that make sense? You understand that if there's you live across the street from a busy intersection, and we saying just go across the street, let's use wisdom about how to do some things. We understand that there's going to be some challenges, but we understand those challenges are there. He talks about those things too. Yes, you may not get that loan because of, right? He talks about, maybe because things may happen because of maybe skin color or gender or whatever. Those things may happen, but this is your goal. And just because these things are in line, just because these things line up in your face, doesn't mean you stop, right? A boss finds a way. And sometimes you may not get there, but that also comes back when you come back to the table and do some reassessments, right? But if your thing is, I just want to go across the street and there's cars coming, we got to figure it out, right? So it comes there. So I don't want to sit back and say that we want to be naive and say those things are not there, right? But for sometimes people use this thing as I need this and I need that in order to get it. And I've been saying for a while, the cavalry's not coming. There's nobody coming to save us, right? There's nobody coming to save us. We've been waiting for somebody to come and save us for a long time. If I'm talking about black and brown and marginalized people, there's nobody coming to save us. White supremacy and capitalism is running wild and is there to suppress white, black people. We got to understand that, right? And roll with that. But at the same time, it's still a way to make something. That's what we have to do. We got to figure out. But what this is that there's still money to be made if that's what you're out for. If there's still some relationships that need to be made if that's what you're out for. But understand it's a fight. We at war. But just because we have war don't mean, we don't fight. Because we have war don't mean that we don't try. We do two things at once. We can make some money or we can build relationships and we can still fight. So it's not so much by your bootstraps type of situation, but this is just identifying that it's there. We're not ignorant to the fact that it's not there, but just because it is there doesn't mean I don't try, right? Because there's other avenues can be created to make sure that we can get someplace.
Right. I mean, there's too many examples of successful. It's too many success stories in this country that we can go back even 100 years and talk about different folks. I mean, even starting back there's many successful people we've seen, such as African Americans in this country, that have found a way to get past this the racism. Like we know it's there, like you say, we know it's there. We know it is a problem. It is harder to navigate. But we look at all this. We look at Black Wall Street. I mean, that's one of the examples. But there's many others. There's Rosewood. There's many successful communities that have been built in the midst of worse racism than what it is now. We talk about laws that were set in place, lynching that was going on, KK that was running them up, burning crosses and burning down homes in the churches, and they were still able to navigate through that and become economically successful. We forgot about that. So when you're sitting in the hood talking about, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get off my block, you need to go back and look at history, find out that there were folks in worse situations that found a way out. They found a way to build economical wealth. But the problem is that the dollar circulates only, I believe, 1 minute in the black neighborhoods before it circulates out. That's a huge problem in this country. And we don't understand that we have more opportunity than anywhere else in the diaspora to build economical wealth. Even though there's some successful countries in Africa for sure. But America is built on capitalism. The tax codes, everything is set for you to win if you know how to play the game. So that's what I love about Rick Ross, because it's giving you the game in order to play it. That's all it is a damn game. So if you understand it, understand how to overcome racism, which there are many ways to, it's there. It's going to give you hell. You got to get through it. But the only color when it comes down to it is green. Let's really be honest about it. When you're sitting at the top, I'm sorry, I'm a billionaire, you a billionaire. Are we really beefing? I mean, are we looking at each other like, well, you my equal? I'm here to table with you. So we're trying to get you at the table. We're trying to get you there. But it is unfortunate we're still navigating through the hoops and hurdles and all the setbacks and roadblocks, all because of the color of folks' skin, in order to not get to the other side. And many times I myself, I'll admit, I have used that as an excuse at one point in time in my life, 1 or 2 times. Oh, I just didn't do it because I was black, or I just did. But eventually, I have to recognize it. And that's why we have a group right now to combat that and to fight it. But the other side of it is that, all right, it's there. Am I going to sit here and cry all day? Am I going to sit here and play the victim all day? Or am I going to play this game that they have set forth in front of us? And they just said, look, you got to find a way to play the game and win. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to put it in books. I'm going to give it to certain people. But it's accessible. And so Rick Ross is really making it accessible so everybody can take advantage of that knowledge and win this game.
But I think also, Isaac, he puts it also, it's not so much bootstrap, like do it by yourself, but also he talks about his waste, or not so much his waste, but like he talks about how Evander Holyfield lost this home, this beautiful home, the biggest home, I think he said in the biggest home in the state of Georgia, right? And how he lost it because of waste, and how he took some of that, he took the wisdom of somebody else's failure and made it his own. So he talks about how instead of having landscapers, he started cutting his own grass. Mm-hmm. And then after that, he started hiring the people around him. Right? So that means it's not so much of pulling. It's just being a better steward of your finances, right? So how can I be a better steward of finances so what I do have, I can keep longer? And that's not. And I think that's prevalent in any community. That's prevalent in any household. That's what we all want. How can I keep what's mine longer? And so that's what he came to realize. How can we keep what's ours longer? And sometimes that's just the basic start for anybody who wants to start a business, anybody who wants to start anything. That what we do own, how can we keep it ours longer? And he talks about, assets and liabilities. Sometimes it's like, we have waste. And so out of this waste, can we make money from it, or do we just need to let that go? And sometimes we could look around our houses and say, you know what? I got this closet full of gym shoes. Why? Should I sell these shoes, or can I do something to make money with this closet or whatever? There's things that can be done, but the books is just a way to start opening our eyes to say, you know what? If I could do something with what I have already to bring in more income or bring in more time, bring in whatever, that can start off to something else, to do something different. So at the same time, it's not so much the bootstrap mentality either, but he also talked about how we got to do it together. You know what I'm saying? So he's talking about like I got to put my family up, I got to put my people up, and then that, if I can't employ them, I employ them. They can employ somebody else. They will. They employ somebody else too within their family, and I think that's cultural too. Other cultures do that also. So in that, it's not so much it's just me. I'm doing it by myself. It's like realizing that my goal is not just me, but more or less we.
Let's get to Kim in the comments. I know she had a couple of things to say. They were going to play another clip.
Yeah, no problem. So Kim said earlier that he appreciated Rick Ross's take his position on Black women, that they have challenges beyond racial, or that he says, I like that he addressed that women, especially Black women, have challenges beyond our racial or gender counterparts. I believe it's important for Black men to be aware of that challenge. So that was a comment that he mentioned earlier that I wanted us to jump into.
I think Kim's a woman. I'm looking at her picture.
I think they
and she got a doctorate too. Let's not gloss over that. She's 2 weeks away from her doctor. I think she said.
Go ahead.
Kim is a she, yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Sister Kim. Get that doctorate. But I think in that Rick Ross had a situation where he made an off the cuff comment about women not being a part of MMG, right? Maybe about music. And so in that, it brought him to the more awareness of the struggles and the stripes of just women in industry, in the music industry, especially just dealing with rap. I think it gained him more awareness of why the reasons were and those type of things. So in that, I think he's been more outspoken on that, just because he made an off the hand comment, just dealing with women and on his label. But also sometimes, like you say, you can take a bad situation, and what you do with that bad situation determine on what level you want to boss up. So he had the bad situation. He spoke some negatively about a woman, but took a step back, learned some things, and then took action to move forward with that. So, I think she's right. She's totally right with that.
All right, let's get to another clip real quick here.
The importance of preparation. Because it's not just the storms you need to prepare for. You have to be ready for life's blessings too. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that suddenly presents itself is worthless if you're not in the right position to capitalize on it. I was talking about having a rainy day fund in case of emergencies. But ideally, you also want to have some funds stashed away for when a life-changing investment opportunity comes your way. The importance of planning and preparation goes both ways. And if you're not prepared, you better believe someone else will be. Your loss will be their gain.
Wow.
And I think we see that some of that dealing with we're talking about neighborhoods. If we just look at, especially with Detroit, we're talking about gentrification, especially going back to 2009, whatever. A lot of people were talking about people coming in and just buying up neighborhoods, right? And some part about that is that there's a lot of people at that time that wanted to do something similar, but their money wasn't liquid yet, right? So it's like they weren't prepared. I think that's what he's saying. Like you could be, timing is everything. You want to make sure you're ready for the time. So if anything, I know anybody learned anything from 2009 is they want to be ready for if the market crashes again to buy these properties up again, right? Because a lot of people bought this property, bought houses or whatever, and made a lot of money within the last 15 years of buying low, and selling high, right? So I think some parts, so you never know when opportunities going to come. So you want to make sure you're always ready. Now, it's not always about dealing with money either. Sometimes, like, you never know. Somebody might call you for a job and don't have your resume ready, right? Or somebody, you might be a dream job and you've been, lollygagging, not finished your degree. You get that phone call and they say, "No, what? But do you have your degree yet?" And you can't keep saying, "Well, I'm only 2 credits shy." At what point you gonna follow through to finish? Because it's gonna come at some point. You don't want to be always getting ready. You want to be ready. I think it comes to that type of situation he's talking about also. So it's not always about money. It's about having everything aligned at the right time for when that good thing happens and you're ready. And also, we talk about the negative things too. Negative things will happen. Transmission can go out, or furnace can stop working, or those type of things can happen. It could be a setback. And imagine if you don't have the money saved up for that, or imagine you don't have the friends, or like maybe it's a loss in the family or something like that. You don't have people around you, or you ain't investing in the right people around you to help you go through this grieving process. Sometimes, you want to make sure that you're ready for the good and bad and things. So I think that's what I like about this one a lot.
If you stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Stay ready, never have to get ready.
You got to stay ready. Stay on that path. It's not like you said. If you get a seat at the table, it's not time to be fumbling and making excuses. No, you got to always be ready, because you never know when the opportunity knocks. When you're gonna have a time that maybe if you want to be an MC, you might run into somebody, you got ready to spit on the spot.
Right, exactly.
You know
right.
You can't be let me go figure out something. Let me go back. I'll be back to you in a couple of days. No, right there. That deal could be right there, if you spit right. So I'm always a proponent of staying ready because you never know when the opportunity is right there. You never know who you're gonna run into that day. You never know who you might bump into, what type of conversation you'll be led into that particular day. You never know what type of deal you can maybe get that could be on the table right there in front of you that you have to be ready for. So it's not always just having some cash laying around, although I think you do need to be ready in that regard as well, especially with the rate of inflation that's going on right now. I think you do need to have that, but I think the mentality is you got to stay ready mentally so you don't have to find time to get ready. So I thought that was a powerful clip as well. I think he definitely reminds people to not be complacent, that you have to be focused at all times. Let's get into one more clip here.
That's how this book was born. Instead of sitting at home twiddling my thumbs, waiting for things to go back to how they were, I decided to take the obstacle in front of me and turn it into an opportunity. I could pull back the curtain on my success as a music mogul and entrepreneur. I could share how I became the biggest boss and inspire someone to become the CEO of their life. I could share the principles I've lived by that got me to where I'm at today. The boss commandments, if you will. I could drop some gems on these motherfuckers. Better yet, I could drop some diamonds. The way I saw it, there was still plenty of opportunities for me to have a productive and prosperous 2020 in spite of the pandemic. And none of those opportunities involved me having a good excuse not to. The dangerous part of excuses is that a lot of them make sense. The bank might not give you a loan to get your small business idea. You might not have any contacts in the media to help you promote your mixtape. You might not have the resources to service a record to radio independently. But you've still got to find a way. Stop looking for someone else to solve your problems for you. Nobody owes you shit. At the end of the day, a legitimate excuse and a bad excuse serve the same purpose: to justify failure and minimize the amount of shame we feel for not figuring out a way to overcome the obstacles in our way. As valid as an excuse might seem, it doesn't mean shit. Why not? Because Michael Jordan still dropped 38 points to win Game 5 of the 1997 NBA Finals when he was sick with the flu. Tiger Woods still won the 2008 US Open on a broken leg. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots still came back to beat the Atlanta Falcons when they were down 28-3 in the third quarter of Super Bowl 51. The greats all had good excuses to lose too. But what separates the greats from the average is that they don't take the bait of a good excuse. They know that's the easy way out. The only reason anyone even remembers that Jordan had the flu or that Tiger's leg was fucked up is because they went out and won anyway. That's the only reason anybody knows about the excuses they could have used. Your goals don't give a fuck about your excuses. Nobody gives a fuck about your excuses besides you. I promise you, no one else cares or wants to hear that shit. So you can either wrap yourself up with your good excuses and pray to keep you warm at night, or you can find a way to win with the cards you were dealt. I'm not a boss because I had the perfect circumstances to boss up handed to me on a silver platter. I'm a boss because no matter how my circumstances conspired against me, I still went out and won. If you're waiting on your perfect opportunity to be presented to you in a gift wrap box with a red bow on top before pursuing your goals, you better find yourself a nice leather recliner and get comfortable, because you're going to be sitting in that bitch waiting for the rest of your miserable life. That moment you're waiting on doesn't exist. Everybody has problems, and some people overcome them, and other people use them as excuses. The way you choose to respond to your problems will have a greater impact on your success than the problems themselves. Fuck a pandemic. To me, a global pandemic is just another opportunity. It's the perfect time to boss up. What are your goals? 1 month from now, you can either have made a month's worth of progress toward them, or you can have a month's worth of excuses why you haven't done shit. At the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to be a donkey or a bronco? Which one is it going to be?
Which one? Which one you gonna be?
I think that's it right there, G. I mean, I think all that's it right there. I think that's it. I mean, sometimes, like you say, I mean, we say we want to do things, and either we do or we don't. I like it. Be a bronco or a donkey, man. Or find, like you said, find that leather chair and sit back and watch everybody else do something. But I think we gotta get out there and try, and you know, give the old college try, as they say. Everything's not going to be a W. I mean, like in the book, he even talks about, you know, learning how to take a loss. That's part of it too, right? Learn how to take a loss. In the book, also he talks about spirituality, and I guess he calls it put Neverland, Give Jesus Peace Down, right? So he talks about all those things in which makes you a better human as you're going for your goals. But if you're getting out there saying you want to do it, hey, it's time to boss up.
So I thought that piece was profound because he talks about some greats that could have gave up. I mean, I watched that game. I don't know how many times Michael Jordan won when he was playing with the flu. Actually, the story. I'm off subject here, but the story wasn't he had the flu. He actually had food poisoning.
Right.
Somebody actually tried to food poison him that night. He ordered a pizza.
I remember. Yeah, I heard that. Right.
Yeah, some young guys delivered it. He ate it, and they tried to sabotage the game. But anyway, he played through it and still won. He didn't give us. He could have set out that night. How many players today's game would have set out when to play? A lot. But the mentality of a winner is that winners win, losers lose. Michael Jordan is a winner. Tiger Woods is a winner. Rick Ross is a winner, and you have to have that winning mentality to be a winner as well. And no one's going to hand it to you. You got to work for it. So, I mean, we're giving our time to you for free. We're not getting paid for this, but we're trying to do this because that's what we feel as if you all win, we win. If we win, you win. So, I think the motivation behind this book discussion is just that, is we want everybody to be winners, but we know that you can't do it by sitting down and not doing nothing. We're not going to get there by just listening to us every week, or oh, I might do this, or I might do that. You got to get out here and do it. We decided to come back after almost 20 years out of college to start this group back up, because we feel it is necessary for us to give our time to help somebody else. That's all. If we can help 10 people, I think we've done we've done good. We've done our service. Yeah, put that back up there. That was it. That was the game. He couldn't even stand up. Scotty had to help him off the court. He was so sick. But he still gave 100% that game. And we want you all to give 100% as well. I'm gonna read some of the chapters here. We didn't get to all the chapters, but this kind of gives you the boss commandments he's talking about. Yeah, there it is. So chapter 1 says, determine your destination. Chapter 2, the game ain't based on sympathy. That's kind of what we're talking about right now. Every boss started out a worker. Hey, you can't get to the top by starting at the top, right? You got to climb your way up at times. Chapter 4, empires are built brick by brick. I think Mario was talking about that. Chapter 5, don't waste your time. Man, how many times we wasted our time and it doesn't get us anywhere. Chapter 6, teamwork makes the dream work. Chapter 7, stack your paper. Chapter 8, war ready. Chapter 9, your hustle determines your salary. That's huge. Your hustle determines your salary. Let me come back to that one. Chapter 10, manage the emotions. Chapter 11, your bedroom is your office. People think you got to get to some kind of fancy corporate place in order to start producing. You can do it right at home. Chapter 12, bosses stay students. Always be a student of the game, right? Chapter 13, speak it into existence. That's that spirituality Myron he was talking about, that he talks about in the book. Chapter 14, let your actions speak for you. Chapter 15, hustle your own way. You don't have to always do what he's doing. He talks about being your own person a lot in this book. Stop trying to be like somebody else and do what they did. It might not work for you. Use your own God-given talents. Chapter 16, never lay your Jesus piece down, face down. Chapter 17, master the art of the L. Let no excite you. That's E.T. That's E.T.'s thing. Eric Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas. Let no excite you. In chapter 18, you can always dig deeper. So just from the titles of those chapters, each one of them make you want to go to the next chapter, make you want to keep reading. It inspired me. As again, always being a student of the game. I can never read too many books. I can never be, hear too many lectures about being inspired because we all have setbacks. We all have days where we just don't know how I'm gonna get out of bed and make it that day. So you need something to motivate you, to inspire you. Just reading about his life. I'm not living a lot. I don't have a rich lifestyle, but I felt a little bossy by reading the book. I felt, man, you put on a nice little shirt tonight for the night. I was gonna pop my collar. It makes you feel that way, just hearing about his lifestyle, hearing about how he's living, it makes you want to feel like, damn, I can get there too. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of it though, like through those chapters, is like the organization. I mean, like he said something earlier about people we look at the finished product, but we never see the work that goes in between, and that's the hard part because everybody think that you can wake up one day and then the next day you have whatever it is you want. You know what? Whether it be your degree, whether it be $1 million, whether it be losing 30 pounds. No, but the thing is that what we have to focus on is in between now and the finished product. That's what, and I think that's the whole thing. Preparing for those type of things. So if you want to lose weight, he's telling you like you got to prepare your meals, whatever it is, right? You got to do those type of things. He talks about the art of losing the L. Maybe one day you may gain, right? So those things may happen, and just because you may gain this week doesn't mean you throw up your hands and say, no, I'm not trying to lose weight, or I'm not trying to get my degree anymore because I failed this one class. He's saying, if you know what your destination is, you know where you're going, else will happen. Preparing for those things will happen. Like that's where they like big bright brick. Small, you taking small steps will get you there. He also talks about like in stack your paper, and this is what he's talking about, like the rainy day fund, and don't live beyond your means, right? Because even though the persona of a Rick Ross is there, he talks about that's just a persona, right? He talks about even though you may see him on a private jet, but he realizes that that's a waste of money, right? So that's there's a persona of the big boss, but the big boss also understands that you are a steward of your finances. So I'm not going to sit here and own a private jet. I can flaunt it, I can get it if I want to, but I don't got to have it. I'm not going to waste my money on it. I can fly first class versus own the private jet because it's cheaper, and I can put my money in other places. So those type of things that maybe people think they know, but realizing no, it's easier doing it the right way than doing it, just try and jump right in it and then, you're the CEO. It's going to take some steps. And also, like you say, he talk about this also, your circle. Sometimes you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, but you want to be surrounded by smart and gifted people that can take your vision or whatever you have to take it to the next level. That's why he has 20 businesses. He's not the smartest one on those businesses. He's just around people who are smart in that area. And that's how he's able to have 20 different, streams of income. But he does talk about, let's start out first, start with your let's narrow the focus he talks about. Let's narrow it down. Because sometimes you can sit back, you want to own your own business, and then you got 20 businesses going. And that's not going to happen until you master that first one. I think those things are some of the great things he talks about that they get people to the next level.
For sure. Well, I think do we got anything in the comments? I think Kim was the one that was kind of.
Yeah, I think Kim was getting ready to shut off.
I think she got off here. She said she's looking forward to the next read.
Yeah, there's some reactions, but there are no questions or anything for us to jump into.
Well, we appreciate you, Kim, for rocking with us all night. I mean, yeah, we're glad you enjoyed our conversation, and others who just didn't comment but was set through our commentary tonight as well. We just encourage you to boss up, whatever that means. You have to use the word boss up, whatever terms of endearment, whatever terms of motivation you want to use for yourself to get to that next level. We just encourage you to do that tonight. Hopefully this book, what we talked about tonight, we left some type of impression, some type of motivation to go to the next level, to be a better version of yourself. The book is something you can read if you choose to. If we inspire you tonight to go get it, or at least listen to the audiobook, That's something you can choose to do. If not, maybe something we said tonight nudged you or made you feel like, okay, I gotta get up and do something. I gotta do something different. Then we're okay with that as well. I think again, the motivation for tonight is overall is for you to understand that wealth is a weapon. I mean, it is something. It's powerful. It's what runs this country, whether we like it or not. Of course, we don't like how things are done in this capitalistic society. We don't necessarily like how there's only 1% of the wealth here, while others are, in some cases, barely making it. And in cases, and especially now, we understand inflation is really hurting a lot of families tonight. There's many people who are not able to even go get gas at these high prices, and it's going to keep going up. There's some things coming down the pike which are very worrying and very scary. But as Ross talks about, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You know, if you prepare, and you may take an L. Like I said, taking an L. It's okay to take an L. We all take them. We all go through things that we don't want to go through. But coming out on the other side better than you were when you first started is where we want you to be at. What's my little last word for me? Any last word, fellas?
That's it for me. You said it right there. We want you to come up better on the other side. That's what we want. Yes, indeed.
I guess with that, I'll just make a few closing announcements as we get ready to wrap. First off, next week, we will be back on Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Central Time for another edition of 360 Takeout. This is where we discuss current events. We have a series of topics that we go through, and we always engage with our audience, react to their comments, or even invite them in to the conversation with us. So if you enjoyed the conversation tonight, and this was your first time with us, we certainly hope that you come back. Shout out to Anna, who's been hanging with us for a while now. So we're glad to see that you got to spend some time with us this evening, Anna. We hope you come back next week. Amber as well, someone who's been with us. Amber, we hope that you come back next week. Join us for this next discussion. And we had some new friends tonight that joined us, and we hope stick with us as they go through life. Hopefully we can support one another in that. And so next week, we hope that you join us. And then another thing that we wanted to call out is that we do a lot of work for free. These conversations and the preparation and the guests that we bring on to the program are always free to the viewer because we believe in doing knowledge, sharing knowledge together. We also now have a media publishing and consulting company, and we invite you to take a look at our website because we are offering services, coaching, professional development, problem solving, and even guest speaking to those that may be interested in working with us more. We have flexible rates for folks who are very small and just getting started to organizations that are looking for some innovative support. Our media publishing and consulting company is all based on the tenets of what we call revolutionary culture, which we've talked about before. We'll continue to talk about them. But these are the 5 aspects of revolutionary culture as we see them. And so our media publishing and consulting company focuses on these 5 core tenets. So if you are interested in the insights that we've provided, the takes that we've taken over the past couple years, then certainly we invite you to check out our website, and we'd be glad to talk with you more if you feel like we could be of service to you and your group or your organization. And then 2 weeks from now, quickly, we're having a conversation called the State of Hip Hop in 2022. And we all are hip hop fans, hip hop heads. We grew up listening to hip hop. We all have very unique and diverse tastes in hip hop. So this conversation will be interesting because we'll all have unique vantage points and perspectives. We'll have a couple of special guests, Nick Speed and Rose Spit out of Detroit with us for this discussion. They'll also be profiling for us their new album called Coney Island, which you see here.
Okay.
In this picture. So We hope that you stick with us next week, Wednesday, and then the following week on Wednesday, we will be on again for the State of Hip Hop 2022. And yeah, we just hope that you stick with us. Find our YouTube page, subscribe to that, follow us on Facebook, and we hope to have you along for our journey. So that's all I got there, brothers.
All right.
All right, we got a lot of stuff lined up. They have to come back and join us and follow us on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Like the YouTube videos that increases the algorithm. Comment. And yeah, we'll see you back here next week. Peace. Real Powers people.
No doubt,
Real
people.
Powers people.